Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna be featuring one of the original premiums, one of the old school premiums, and that is the Tirpitz. Well, it's not one of the really the first premiums, but it is a very old premium, and it's been around in World of Warships for a long time. Also, we broke how many followers? We're like 300 followers away from 100,000 on Twitch. So thank you very much for all the support. I think I'm gonna be able, with your guys' support, I think I'm gonna be able to hit 100,000 followers this week, which means I will have to start preparing for the 100,000 followers giveaway, and I probably need to make a video about that as well. In fact, I have a lot of vids in the works right now. I have a black game that I need to comment on. I got a Moskva game. These are all have been highly requested. I also have a Moskva game since that ship is being removed and people want some opinions and a review on that one. So we got a lot of games going on, but today I just streamed for like 9 hours, so I decided we're gonna have a bit of a short and fun game this time, and that is this Tirpitz game. In fact, this is more of a speedrun than anything else, because if there's one thing the Tirpitz does so damn well, it's brawl. Push in and brawl, and just, it's got torpedoes, it's got turtleback, it's got pretty damn somewhat resilient bow armor. I'm not gonna say it's got resilient side armor because it eats a lot of penetrations, but it doesn't get citadeled. That's the important thing. You don't really get devastated that easily. You got a fair chunk of health pool as well at 69k. So if you can survive long enough to get into the middle of the enemy team, you can create a lot of mayhem and a lot of damage in a short time, which is what I'm gonna be showing in this game. Note that I'm running a standard tank build here, standard concealment tank build, but this build might change quite significantly with the IFHE rework, because once the IFHE rework hits, the secondaries will gain a lot of strength. They already gained a bit of buff, was it last year when they got the range increase, which actually made secondary Tirpitz viable, and now with the rework they will also gain some penetration, I assume. I actually have to check that out, but we might have to revisit the Tirpitz again. Boo-hoo, said no one ever, because Tirpitz is one of those ships that is a lot of fun to play. Now, it's not always fun to play. If you get up-tiered or you get targeted by something like Smolensk or a carrier, no, it's not that fun. But if you find openings, opportunities, it can be a lot of fun. I'm sneaking up on this cap. I'm a bit careful. I don't know where the Chapayev is going. I don't know where the Bliska is going. And they have at least 4 ships there, and we only have 3. I take an early shot at the Vladivostok. He's showing me a lot of broadside. And of course, in classic Russian battleship style, I do pretty much no damage whatsoever to him. That's just that Russian armor. You need to basically be point blank to be able to properly punish them. I'm still a bit hesitant about pushing in. I'm slowing down. I want to see, can I take down this Ayoba instantly? If I can take this guy down instantly, then it's going to be a 3 versus 3, at least that I know of. The Bliska and Chapa might be here, but more importantly, their major torpedo threat will be gone. And my AP volley, I line it up at the waterline, I catch his citadel and I devastate him, and this is where I ping the closest full HP target. I ask for support because we have gotten rid of the big torpedoes, so that means it's go time. And this is what the Tirpitz loves doing. Pushing in and brawling. They got 2 tier 8 BBs there, the Vladivostok and the NC, Chapayev potential support, carrier potential support, and of course the Devonshire crawling around that corner. But we really don't care. In the Tirpitz, you want to play it taking risks. It's a premium, so you can kind of get away with also taking risks. The difficulty is of course understanding when to take these risks. Nose in Vladivostok, I'm not going to do much to him. The NC, however, is pushing around the corner. And NC has a very waterline citadel, but if you line it up just right, you can usually score a couple of citadels. You rarely get a devastating, honestly, unless you're point blank where you can guarantee you're hitting that low citadel. But it doesn't have that much health at 66k. Well, only a bit less than you, but it does have a very vulnerable citadel, and you can punish it, especially when it gives broadside. I keep my guns pointed on him, keep in position of the Vladivostok so I don't accidentally get rammed, because I do not want to get rammed by him. I land another citadel, I make sure I take the torpedo on the belt instead of the nose, so I mitigate the damage. I line up some torpedoes on the Vladivostok, he catches 3 of them, and more importantly, I avoid the ram. Now, I don't care about the Vladivostok anymore, because his turret traverse is so slow that he's going to struggle to keep up with us. We've broken 150,000 damage at 5 minutes into the match. Luthien secondary expert procs, and with the Citadel on the Devonshire, I also get a high caliber at 5 minutes 15 seconds into the game. I dropped some preemptive torps on the Devonshire in case he tried turning away, but he actually turns in. And there is a risk that he might have torpedoes, but I think he's used them, so I'm just gonna go kind of ballsy straight for his broadside Citadel, and with the volley on him I take him out. And that is 5 ships dead. This flank thoroughly won, almost 200,000 damage, and we're not even 6 minutes into the match yet. That is Tirpitz. That is the power of a Tirpitz, and that is the threat of what a Tirpitz can do when it gets... It's kind of like the fox in the hen house, when it really gets in there and it gets to brawl with everyone. And it's so much fun. And it's one of the reasons why Tirpitz was so popular back in the day. It's kind of fallen off a bit because obviously pushing in and brawling is a lot harder these days with carriers being so monstrously powerful, all the A-chip spam and all these issues. But it still has its moments. It still has its moments where it can shine. Of course, the secondary thing, well, that's also fallen off a bit because, well, Massachusetts is such a monstrously kind of overpowered chip, honestly. But there are still moments. The Chapayev keeps running away, and at this point I decide, especially with that dispersion, I decide no, it's probably not worth trying to chase a kiting angled Chapayev away, especially since I have 40 seconds remaining until I can get my next heal off and only have 7,000 health. There's a good chance that this guy might be able to take me down. So we're gonna angle up one last shot in case he turns. And at this point we're gonna angle away. Note that I'm not damage conning this fire. Because I know it's not gonna kill me. And my superstructure is all darkened, which means it's saturated. So any H volleys I take will not deal that much damage, but a potential fire could kill me. So that's why I'm saving the damage con. In case they set a fire, I can damage con it and I can run away and get this heal off. Because, well, I don't want to go in as suicide at this point. It feels silly. You gotta know when to stop pushing in a Tirpitz. And honestly, I pushed a bit too aggressive. You kind of get the bloodlust in after you get a couple of kills. But backing off for a second, getting that heal going, and then re-engaging after you have gone dark. This is of course the advantage of the stealth build. 12.9 km concealment, which is actually quite nice for a battleship this large and, well, this strong when it gets to close to range. I'm almost about to get spotted by a Bliska, but I want to see if the Chapayev will finally give me that broadside. A broadside Chapayev has a big citadel, and with the buffs to the German dispersion, I do think that I might be able to take him out if I get enough broadside. He refuses to do so though, and I do see a Nelson as well. I decide to take the shot at the Nelson. The replay is bugging a bit, showing the lock on the Bliska, but I'm actually shooting the Nelson. Nelson has 25mm plating, and that's one of the few platings that the Tirpitz can overmatch with the 380mm guns. Do a bit of chip damage to him, and more importantly, the Chapayev has turned in. And being this low HP, AR has of course kicked in, which means my gun reload is quite monstrous. I aim a bit below his broadside because he is turning in towards me, so you gotta aim lower to compensate. And he keeps going in a straight line, underestimating my guns, and I catch him with a Citadel and a kill on him as well. Enemy has 17 points remaining. I would like to perhaps shoot the Nelson, but he has reversed behind the island. The Lexington that we spotted earlier was stationary, so I do think there's a chance that the Lexington is in fact still sitting still in that exact same position. So I use something that if you watch my blind fire guide, you'll recognize what I'm about to do. We start by popping the spotter plane to get that bird's eye perspective. Okay, Creed guy, can you pop that spotter plane so I can continue with my explanation? I guess I was hoping that the Bliska would get spotted. Ultimately I decide to go for it. I zoom out enough to get lock on the Nelson to get slightly improved dispersion, and then I shoot based using the minimap circle. I shoot where the Lexington was last seen. I'm not entirely sure if I got the Nelson lock on as I wanted, but he was in fact still sitting there. But unfortunately I only get one overpen and my team gets another kill and this game ends. 225,000 damage, 3 kills, 8 citadels. Devastating, high caliber, and dreadnought. The things you want to see in a Tirpitz. Very short, but Still 2500 base XP. A short but honestly quite a powerful, and these games are so much fun in the Tirpitz. Of course, these extended brawls can be even more enjoyable when you get to use your secondaries and torpedoes more, but most of the times Tirpitz games are decided if you manage to pull off that one perfect push, that one perfect rush, and just overwhelm your opponents. Like in this case. I did end up eating 89,000 damage, but then in return landed 3 torps, 30k, not that much. AP about 164,000, and of secondaries it did a bit of chip damage. I'll have to look into actually those secondary values. I know, for example, the Grosse Korfus gains improved penetration. I would assume the same thing would happen to Tirpitz as well, but I don't want to make any promises. My build is my standard battleship build. I don't think I need to showcase it. It's very, very standard, which you, unlike the Bismarck where you would run secondary survival, you run main battery survival because you want your torpedo tubes to survive. They break very easily on the Tirpitz. And besides that, you just run... Actually, you know what? Let me just show it rather than go over all of it like this. Right, booted up the client. Let's go over the things. It is a premium ship, so you should be running premium damage con and premium heal. If you want to skimp out on anything, skimp out on the spotter plane. I don't really recommend the fighter plane because honestly it's so useless. It only engages after the carrier has already gotten their first strike in, which greatly negates any defensive capacity it has. Upgrade-wise, as I mentioned, main armor is mod 1, it keeps your turrets and more importantly your torpedoes alive as well. On the Bismarck you can get away with running auxiliary to keep your secondaries and AA alive, but on the Tirpitz, because of those torpedoes and especially, you want to keep this thing here. That 50% torpedo tube survivability is actually quite big on this ship. Damage control system 1. Followed by better dispersion on your main guns. Note that we might run secondary at some point. The option of a secondary might become viable, but right now if you do get these games where you get up-tiered and you have to play at range, I just really like the improved dispersion. Especially with the semi-recent buff that the German battleships got to dispersion. Combined with this, you can actually hit some things, like the way I nailed that Chapayev. It is useful. It does bring some more utility. Of course, it does have the torpedo tube traverse speed, which is okay, but honestly that's a fairly small buff, and it does help your secondaries a bit as well. But if you are building secondary... no, I still think I like this. We'll have to revisit once the IFHE rework hits. Additional tankiness, there is the opportunity of running steering gears. I think either of these two is good. Honestly, if carriers and Smolensk didn't exist, I'd go steering gears, but because those two exist, damage control, thank you very much, sir. And of course, concealment. Captain build wise, if you got Gunther Lutyens, for example, he's obviously the best captain for, well, anything German. You want to run priority target, adrenaline rush, superintendent, fire prevention, concealment expert. I would run expert marksman. The improved expert marksman is quite nice for those brawling situations. Expert loader, and finally of course jack of all trades for faster consumables. Flag wise, standard battleship stuff, which means this entire row you can skip detonation if you feel like, but in general, these 5. And then you can enhance it. What ramming flag can be quite nice on Tirpitz. It's especially because you do tend to brawl a lot, and if you end up being very low HP and you are facing a full HP tier 10 or something like a Yamato and you get a ram off, he's going to be very salty and you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank because you can get some really good profits out of it. I'd love to run the AA flag, but honestly, out of all these, secondary is obviously more useful, because sadly AA has kind of been butchered in this game. Wargaming does not like counterplay to carriers, and we don't have any choice but to oblige. Thank you guys for tuning in, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this vid. As always, if you want to support my Twitch or YouTube, I appreciate the support a ton. Tomorrow is my day off from streaming, which means tomorrow we're gonna be doing a bunch of YouTube vids, because I got a huge backlog that I need to sort through. I've had some monster games, and I haven't really had time to make commentaries on them. But that is until the next time. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys, well, the next time.